So today we're going to talk about how to set up for remote work with the Webex Control Hub. And I have Johnny here from Product Management. Johnny, thank you for joining today.
Thank you, Frank, for having me.
Well, Johnny, before we get into this, so let's talk a little bit about what are the infrastructure requirements that our IT admins out there ought to take a note of before they deploy Webex.
Yeah, so there are a couple of things. So IT admins are encouraged to review our network readiness guide to make sure that they have the right ports configured. Secondly, they want to take a look at their firewall and proxy configuration and make adjustments or upgrades as necessary so that the Webex traffic can seamlessly flow through their environment. And now that their employees are accessing corporate assets from remote locations, security becomes paramount and key. So they want to start instituting a sense of hygiene within their employees so that those corporate assets don't get compromised. Perhaps instituting or investing in things like multi-factor authentication adds another layer to protect those corporate assets.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm a customer. I've just bought just bought Webex. I've just finished the order and I'm starting to set up. So as an admin, what do I need to do next, and where do I go learn how to do it?
Yeah, so as an admin of Webex services, you get access to Control Hub. So let me quickly show you what that looks like. Here it is. So irrespective of whether you're an educational institution or a healthcare institution or a large enterprise or a government organization, this is where you come to manage your Webex services. You can do user management, your service and asset management, monitor your engagement and return on investment, and also sort of check in on your security posture. Over the last several months, we've invested in sort of bringing the administrative capabilities from our disparate admin portals into Control Hub to truly make it a single pane of glass. So what you see here is the Control Hub overview page. And within the overview page, you can get a glimpse of how your services are performing, how your assets are performing, and what you really need to take action on. So you come here, you take a look at like the state of the union, and then you quickly start proceeding to doing sort of the workflows you came into Control Hub for.
Okay, real good. So I've done that. Now I'm ready to add users and assign licenses. So please tell me that there's an easier way to do that than one by one manually.
Yeah, so essentially all roads lead to adding users, right? So some enterprises or large organizations have a little bit of baggage, so that process leading into it is a little bit more complex, and we can talk about that in just a second. But essentially, adding users and giving them licenses gets users to starting to use those services that you just purchased. So to do that, you can quickly navigate to the Users tab. Click on Manage Users, and you have a few different options here. So let's say you're a really small organization, have a handful of users. You can essentially go in here, manually add the users, enter their PII, assign licenses, and voila, you're good to go. But most large organizations or medium-sized organizations have thousands of users, and manually adding users is not manageable. So here we have a few options. You can either use the CSV bulk upload mechanism, or you can integrate with your Active Directory. For the CSV bulk upload, you essentially export the user list, fill in all the user PII data, assign the licenses, make the configurations you need to, and import the CSV back in order to get your users within Control Hub. Or you can use the Cisco directory connector if you have an on-prem Active Directory deployment to synchronize your users from Active Directory. We also offer the SCIM API integration with Okta and Azure, and you can take advantage of that to synchronize your users as well. We also have an admin API through which you can do user management. The key piece before doing user management is license, as you called out, Frank. And there's an easy way for you to assign licenses to users using this auto license assignment feature.
Wow.
So within this, and I'm going to just click on this default piece over here, you can essentially assign licenses at an org level and say that, oh, all the users in my organization get these licenses. So anytime a net new user gets added into the system, they essentially inherit the licenses as you specified in this template. But then if you want to go and change up those licenses a little bit, you go in here, you click on a particular user, you can then see the licenses that you've assigned them with, and then edit as you see fit.
All right, well, this makes a lot of sense. So tell me, are there any things out there that our larger enterprise organizations need to do before deploying this?
Great question. So larger enterprises come with a little bit of baggage, right? Sometimes. And for example, there might be some users in that corporation that might have created Webex accounts in the past and are probably using Webex as sort of in their own contained way, using their corporate accounts. And as an admin that's purchasing Webex, you probably want to bring them in to your organization's fold and start managing them. And in order to do that, there are a series of steps you need to perform before you start bringing those users in and like start actually adding users in a full-fledged manner. To start off with, you want to verify your domains. I'm going to quickly step you through how to do that. So you navigate to settings. Actually, here I want to call out something very specific. When you're doing provisioning, you want to you probably are going and accessing different help documents. You're checking on a few things. You're reading community posts, probably even taking a coffee break. Yeah, don't do that when you're taking a coffee break. You want to sign out of Control Hub to protect your assets. But as you're navigating between different tabs, you want to make sure that you have a sufficient timeout set up on Control Hub so that you can prevent multiple logins to it. So here I've set it up for 4 hours. Some people are very security conscious and they want to keep it to 20 minutes, but then you have a range of options depending on sort of your behavior and how you intend to interact with the system. So typically, if you're on Control Hub pretty much all day and you're tinkering with things, you probably want to have a longer timeout. If you're more of the, I want to come in and do something real quick and get out, you want to be sure that your system logs out after you're done if you forget to do so. So you want to set a smaller timeout here. So just want to call that out before going into the domain verification piece. So here we are within org settings. You can scroll down to domains. Here I've actually gone through the domain verification for one of the domains that I purchased, but I'll walk you through what I did. So I hit add domain. I typed the domain that I wanted to verify. I clicked on this icon here. I retrieve verification token. Obviously for this domain, I've already verified it, so the verification token is grayed out, but when you add it for the first time, this will be available for you to copy. So you copy this verification token. I went to my domain manager and I created a text record and pasted that token that I copied over from Control Hub, and I clicked OK. What GoDaddy does, for example, is it uploads it to a DNS server, and once that happens, you come in here and you hit verify, and your domain gets verified. Now, in case this process errors out, you want to wait for that TTL time that you saw in your text record. And try this process one more time.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So tell me, what does claiming users mean?
Great question, Frank. So as I mentioned in the previous conversation around domain verification, there might be some users in your organization that previously created Webex accounts and are probably using Webex. And you don't want them to stay alone and orphaned, right? You want to bring them into your organization's fold and manage them. So claiming users is that process. And in order to claim users or see which users are available for claiming, you can go into this manage users section. And in this third box for claiming users, if there are users to claim, you will get a non-zero number. So you can follow the steps for claiming users. Either you can claim them immediately or you can do a delayed conversion process. And there are some implications depending on what path you choose to bring those users and assign them licenses from your organization's pool. This way, all of your users are managed in one central place and you don't have users in like different locations or orphaned by themselves that belong to your organization.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So as an admin, how would I prevent users out there from creating external accounts? How do I keep everything rationalized and within my own domain?
Yeah, so if you perform a domain claim, you can ensure that users that are belonging to your organization's domain don't go and create accounts outside of your organization's fold. Before you do that, you want to make sure that you've claimed all of your users and you don't have the directory connector enabled. And then you come in here to domains, you click on this icon here and you claim the verified domain. It's as simple as that.
Wow, that is really easy. That's great. All right, so my users are in, domains are verified. What more can I do to make the user experience better for my users? Because I'm excited, I'm deploying this, I really want to drive adoption. What can I do?
So there are a couple of things, right? Pretty much we're recommending two things: set up SSO and integrate calendar. Setting up SSO, it's seemingly straightforward. It gives your end users a great experience in the sense that they can use a single password to access all of their corporate applications. You can do things like MFA with your SSO configuration, and you can also limit the number of like reset password requests that you get to your help desk, right? So very powerful and highly recommended for admins to do if they have an active SSO deployment. So a couple of things to keep in mind. We do have a few integrations set up with IDP, so you can check out our help documentation for the same. You want to make sure your IDP conforms to the SAML 2.0 specification. And you come here, you scroll to authentication. I actually did some of the steps with the IDP. So I clicked on modify. I said integrate third-party identity provider. I downloaded the metadata file and I went through the steps for the IDP of my choice. I used Google. I uploaded the metadata file there. I entered all the properties and I clicked OK. I downloaded the metadata file from Google and I came in here. It's highly recommended that your certificate is signed by a certificate authority, but just for the purposes of this example, I'm not going to do that. So I clicked on drop a file or a browser from a browser. I upload the metadata file, I click next, and it's time to set up your SSO. You test the configuration. I'm going to do this. And it says single sign-on succeeded. So now you've tested your single sign-on, it works for your users, and now they can authenticate into Webex applications using this single sign-on.
Oh, great. So tell me a little bit more about joining experiences through the calendar integration.
Yeah, so there are quite a few things there in the realm of calendar. So simple and straightforward, we offer extensions and tooling for Webex with popular calendar services. So you can do things like once those extensions are processed, when you go to schedule a meeting, you can choose Webex as sort of the preferred mode of communication. But really what I wanted to focus on is more of our hybrid calendar integration. It's more of a native integration into calendaring, and it provides rich scheduling and join experiences. So for example, in terms of scheduling, if you go in and type in the keyword at Webex:space, and an admin can do those settings in bulk, as in change what at Webex means and at Meet means. And what it'll do is it will open up a space for all of the meeting participants so that you can continue the dialogue on Webex Teams. Or you can take advantage of our marquee one button to push features to really simplify the join meeting experience. So let me go and quickly show you how to do that because it's really, really powerful. So you go into services, and I actually went in and integrated Google Calendar here. And essentially, it's a very similar sort of structure for other calendar integration. So we have Exchange and Office 365. So first of all, check the prerequisites. It's very elegantly laid out for you. So you want to see if you have the right version, you have the right requirements in place. You can like use this checklist to sort of keep tab of what you've done and what you've not done. And then you can follow the steps to authorize this integration. So in the case of Google Calendar, I basically got a client ID and sort of a URL, and I authorized it on the Google site. So I went into the Google Suite admin portal. I followed the steps that this provided directly in the application, and it was a simple process to authorize the integration. Once I did that, I had hybrid calendar for Google integrated into my Webex or my Control Hub. Then what I want to do is I actually want to enable users. So I go into the users page. I click, a specific user. Let me do this one. And then I say calendar service. I see Google Calendar. I want to like say okay, and then I hit save. And then I've activated that Google Calendar for that particular user, and then they can take advantage of some of the features that we talked about earlier in terms of hybrid calendar and what it enables you to do.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, speaking of features, we're hearing a lot about cognitive collaboration and how it makes things easier. Tell us a little bit about the cognitive collaboration features that our admins ought to enable.
Absolutely. So there are a couple of them: people insights, WebEx Assistant, face recognition, etc. So talking a little bit about people insights, making sure that you have the right requirements for people insights. People insights essentially gives you a way to connect better with the employees in your organization. So when I'm contacting you, Frank, I can see who's your manager, what team you belong to, what cost center you belong to, who all you report, who all you work with, so that I know how we're connected to each other and how we can work together better. And if you have your directory integrated with WebEx, we essentially pull the data from your directory in order to form sort of that connectivity chain, in order to like stitch the gaps between different members of the organization and giving you a perspective of who you're working with and how they relate to you.
That's great, knowing who's who before you start a meeting. That's really awesome. So tell me a little bit about site management and management on site admin, what that can do for me.
Yeah, so historically, WebEx meetings have been managed through a tool called Site Admin, and they still are for a majority of our meeting customers. We are in the process of sort of integrating Site Admin with Control Hub and bringing some of those rich administration features into Control Hub. But hey, we do have sort of an experience for that now. So talking about sort of a Control Hub native meeting site, you can actually access the granular features that Site Admin provides by clicking on Sites under Services, configuring sites, and here you get an iframed experience of Site Admin, and you can sift through what's available for you to granularly tweak how your client should behave. For some of the existing customers that actually manage their users and their entire WebEx deployment on Site Admin, we're trying to bring them into Control Hub through a process called linking, by which they can take advantage of our analytics and diagnostics capabilities. So quickly showing you what those are. So if you navigate to analytics, I'm just going to change the site. Here you can get rich ROI, KPI, engagement metrics to get an understanding of how WebEx is being adopted in your organization, how your users are engaging with it, and what can you do more to grow the adoption of WebEx and get your users to be a little bit more productive, especially in these times when God knows for how long we're going to be separated and not in sort of an office-like setting, right? So looking at things like how many people are using video, how many meetings are conducted, just gives you an understanding of how WebEx is growing in your organization. You can also get information on quality metrics. So what's your average join time like? What does that look like on the basis of location? How do your network metrics fare? Where are some of the bottlenecks, so that you can start taking some proactive action on some of those challenges. Additionally, if you have an employee call you about a meeting quality being poor, or several employees complaining about their meeting not working as intended, you can go into troubleshooting, search for that particular meeting or set of meetings, and see what are some of the problems that employee or the set of employees are facing. So there you get network and system level metrics, as well as client level metadata for you to be able to triage that information. And all of that comes in near real time.
In real time, that's great. So I can troubleshoot the issues as they happen. Well, Johnny, this has been so tremendously wonderful, and it really seems like Control Hub is the single pane of glass for doing just about anything for admin, and also helping you get set up for remote work for our first-time users. So I want to thank you for joining me today. I want to thank all the folks out there on Social Live for joining us, and we will put some links to resources in the chat. Everyone, stay safe. Thanks for joining. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.